we just got the announcement at the latest Nintendo Direct that Dragon Quest VII is indeed getting that remake. And of course that confirms a lot of things. Number one, the leaks are real. And number two, I am excited as hell. I'm a pig in shit at this moment in time because we're getting more Dragon Quest. But of course, before we discuss more about this remake, I need you to do one thing for me. And that is hit that subscribe button. It's free, you might as well do it. And of course, I really do appreciate it. So yeah, this was indeed a real thing. If you guys don't know what I'm talking about, back in July, there was a report out there that reported that Dragon Quest VII was going to get a remake. Essentially akin to the HD 2D remakes that 3 and 1 and 2 were going to get, but they described it as an HD remake, which means anything. It could be kind of like HD 2D based on the PS1 version, or it could be based on the 3DS version, and they're remaking it and using that as the basis. And we finally got our first look at Dragon Quest VII Reimagined, which is now what it's called, and it definitely seems pretty similar to the 3DS version. They seem to be making altercations here and there when they need to, and also adding things that that version never had. For example, you can actually do preemptive attacks, and number two, it does seem like you can actually save party members when you need to as well. For example, there's a screenshot out there where it shows the hero, Maribel, Sir Mervyn, and Aish, but in the backhand you also have Ruff as the background character as well. So they are definitely adding a bunch of things that were introduced in later Dragon Quest titles and adding it in here in Dragon Quest VII Reimagined. And I'm also going to assume the combat system is going to be more in line with what the HD version of Dragon Quest XI introduced and has been carried over in 11S and of course 10 offline. And of course there seems to be voice acting in this game. And it seems to be pretty much in line with what we had with 3 HD 2D, 1 and 2, 11, and of course Dragon Quest VIII. And of course the orchestral rendition from the Tokyo Metropolitan Symphony is here as well. Unlike before where in the 3DS version in Japan they had the orchestral music, but in the West we just got biddies. So that's great to see as well. The only thing I'm not too keen on is strangely the graphical style. Environment wise it looks fantastic, but the character models definitely something to get used to. I don't know why I don't feel too keen on how the characters look in this game, but it kind of reminds me of Dragon Quest Your Story. Not to that extreme 100%, but in that weird uncanny valley. And I'll let you guys know right now, I'm not the biggest fan of Dragon Quest Your Story for a multitude of reasons, and the art style was part of it. And with the 7 Reimagined, it does seem like it's teetering on that line almost. Roy from the future here, just some few things to clean up on because this was information I didn't know about when I started recording my video on DQ7 Reimagined, but there is a video between Yuji Horii and the producer of DQ7 Reimagined just talking about the game itself, and one thing they bring up is that they actually made marionettes, puppets for all the characters for DQ7 and scanned those puppets and marionettes and made models off of them in DQ7 Reimagined, hence why the models look the way they do. And honestly, now knowing that information, that's definitely a very cool technique. I always do like it when companies go above and beyond when it comes down to creating unique art styles, whether or not it is actually making clay models to be used in the games themselves. And the marionette technique is actually pretty cool, even though the final product kind of makes it look strange. And also secondly, in that video as well, they do mention that you can now do multiple vocations, as in you can now have 2 vocations at a time. So I'm going to assume that does speed up a lot on vocation grinding, and you want characters to do different vocations but at the same time maintain a certain vocation because of stats and what have you, you can easily go on and change that. So I do wonder how that's going to affect the Ultrace Alibi, but we'll see once the game comes out. But anyways, back to your regularly scheduled recording. And on top of that, we also know there is going to be a digital deluxe edition for this game, which gives you early access to the game for 2 days, and also a bunch of DLC they're adding in as well. As you get costumes based on the characters from Dragon Quest XI, which is pretty nice right there. It also seems like you'll be able to fight many bosses from past Dragon Quest titles. From the looks of it, they'll be adding in Zoma, Dragon Lord, and Malroth. And also they'll be adding in a few more DLC costumes as well. So definitely seems to be a lot of money put into this remake by adding in all these costumes, giving the game a digital deluxe edition. And to my understanding, the first Square Enix title that gives you early access to the game itself, so definitely for sure a lot of marketing money put into this release here. But of course we need to talk about some few predictions I made back in that Dragon Quest VII video. One of them being that I personally predicted that the future roadmap of the Dragon Quest series moving forward was going to be remakes. And it does seem like that's going to be the case right there. Now we have Dragon Quest VII Remake, or Reimagined. I don't think, personally, spin-offs are completely off the table, but for now it does seem like Square Enix wants to focus on getting remakes out for the Dragon Quest series over prioritizing remakes, so people in the West have ways to have access to these Dragon Quest titles, and these titles are more available on modern platforms, because keep in mind, a majority of these titles are only really available on mobile, and I do think you're limiting your audience by having these mainline Dragon Quest titles only available on mobile. So that's one thing right there. And also I also talked about of how Dragon Quest VII took place after Dragon Quest II, and it does seem like they're going to follow that chronological order and kind of confirm some of these fan theories people had about the timeline of the series, seeing how they kind of teased the idea that 7 took place after 2 was Caravan Hearts and that one manga that came out, so that seems to be feeding into that idea. So I do personally think the next Dragon Quest remake we're going to get is Dragon Quest VIII. As of course, as I mentioned before, Dragon Quest VIII seems to have a lot of ties to Dragon Quest III. I'm not going to spoil too much in this video, but if you know, you know. And I do think soon after we will get the Senithian Trilogy remake, because I do think the 7 Reimagined and potentially the 8 remake are going to be handled by one studio, while the HD 2D remakes will still be handled by ArtThink. And they have proven to be successful, so keep them working on things like the Senithian Trilogy remakes, and potentially any other HD 2D games they need to work on. And now finally, the last thing I mentioned was Dragon Quest XII in that video, and I kind of feared that the game was in development hell and all that stuff right there, but now I no longer feel that. And that's simply because the Dragon Quest VII Reimagined is coming out in February. And I do think that's very important right there, because the past couple of years with the Dragon Quest series, we've mainly gotten titles in the later half of whatever year that represented. 2022 Treasures came out in late 2022, Monsters of Dark Prince and Infinity Strash both came out in September and December respectively in 2023. 3 HD 2D came out in November in 2024, and of course 1 and 2 is coming out in October this year. And the fact that we're getting 7 Reimagined in February does kind of instill confidence that they might have Dragon Quest XII ready to go in 2026. And keep in mind, next year will be the 40th anniversary of the Dragon Quest series, and we essentially gone 5 years without any new information on Dragon Quest XII. So I do think they might be saving Dragon Quest XII, re-unveiling that game at Dragon Quest Day, and if worst case scenario, Dragon Quest XII could slip into 2027 and they might film something else in 2026 for the holiday season. But I do think we will see Dragon Quest XII officially unveiled in 2026 during Dragon Quest Day. We'll see what happens, but that's just a prediction right there. But anyways, that's going to do it for today's video. Let me know what you guys think about Dragon Quest VII Reimagined down in the comments below. Are you excited as I am? I want to know. Plus, don't forget to leave this video a like and subscribe as well. And of course, I make a bunch of videos on this channel, so you want to check those out. Check out these videos right here. I think you'll enjoy them. See you guys on the next one. Take care.